You're good.
All right, I'd like to call to order the February 23rd, 2022 Long Hill Township Committee meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting, specifically the time, date, and public call and information were included in the meeting that was electronically sent to the Echo Sentinel and posted on the Township website. The agenda and public handouts can be viewed online at www.longhillnj.gov. Public comment period will be held in the order is listed on the meeting agenda. Committeeman Lavender.
Here.
Committeeman Ray.
Present.
Committeeman Verleza.
Present.
Mayor Dorsey.
Here. So now we got motion to go to recess to hold the second Board of Health meeting of the year, Megan?
Correct.
So a motion to do that, please.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
We have to do a voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so now we're going to do a call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, I believe you have to read another statement or not for the Board of Health meeting?
No, but I will take the roll. So Assessor Sherman.
Present.
Committeeman Lavender.
Here.
Committeeman Ray.
Present.
Committeeman Verleza.
Present.
Mayor Dorsey.
Here. Okay, so now the discussion is an ordinance, Board of Health Ordinance 22-01C. It's an ordinance amending the Board of Health fees, revised general ordinance of the Board of Health. Do we need to, Megan, what do we have to do? We have discussion, amends the ordinance, what do we have to do procedurally?
Well, there was other suggestions that came from the Bernard's Health Department in regards to food licensing fees.
Okay.
If you want to turn it over to Administrator Malul to discuss this further.
Thank you. Nancy, I know you researched this topic and spoke to Berners. Could you explain to us or everybody what's going on, please?
Okay, so at this meeting, you were supposed to adopt our food establishment fees and licenses for the year. We currently charge for the licenses based primarily on square footage of the establishment. So pharmacies are separate, temporary retail, mobile retail, and farmers market are all separate, but otherwise we have retail food establishments charged based on their square footage, under 2,000 square feet, 2,000 to 5,000, 5,000 to 10,000, and then over 10,000 square feet. Our health department, though, received some complaints from some of the businesses in town regarding the cost of their licenses. And so the inequity lies in the establishments that sell only prepackaged foods. So many stores have maybe a row or two of food, if that, and they sell mostly non-food items, but they're paying fees based on their square footage. So basically the same as a restaurant. So these businesses fit into three categories. One is prepackaged goods only that don't sell milk, eggs, or dairy. So like they sell candy bars at the checkout. Particularly Old Navy, the Sterling Card Shop, the liquor stores, the GNC and Exxon. Then the second category is where they sell aisles of prepackaged foods like a TJ Maxx, Home Goods, and Harmon. And then the third category is mostly prepackaged goods, but they also sell dairy, eggs, and milk. So Walgreens, Country Farms, and Lukoil. So those are the three categories that the Department of Health has separated these prepackaged good stores into. So we're recommending that we add those three categories to our schedule of fees, and then we have lower fees than what they're normally paying. Some are paying $100, some are paid $165. So we're recommending for the first category, which would be like Old Navy that sells candy bars at the checkout, just a $50 fee. The second category, aisles of prepackaged goods like TJ Maxx or Harmon, a $70 fee. And then the ones that sell mostly prepackaged goods with eggs, milk, and dairy products like Walgreens, a $90 fee. And the difference in the scale is the amount of inspections that the health department has to do. So when you've got the dairy foods, they've got to go check the expiration dates more often, things like that. The other thing that we recommend is eliminating pharmacy altogether, because all the pharmacies in town are covered under other categories. Like Dorsey's Pharmacy is covered under a retail food establishment, and
Well, in theory, Walgreens, ShopRite
Walgreens.
Pharmacy, all of them belong to that same
Right,
entity.
right, Walgreens is covered under this, would be covered under this prepackaged food with dairy. So the other thing that was also suggested, we have a farmer's market fee of $20. We only have one farmer's market. We're recommending increasing it to $75 because they sell milk, eggs, vegetables, fruits, fresh mozzarella, baked goods, jellies, and jams. So they require more inspection than any of the other places, but they pay the least amount of anybody on any of our licenses. So we were recommending that that be increased to $75.
Got it.
Does anybody have any questions?
Questions? Megan, what do we discuss this now, or we table it, or what do we do?
If you want to discuss it, and then if you want to make a motion to amend it, then we can open the public hearing and carry it until the 3/9 meeting. But if you
Right.
want to discuss it first, if you are in agreement with the changes,
Does anybody have any issues with those changes?
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
It can make sense.
Just in full disclosure, for all those businesses that I named, they would be paying less than they're currently paying. The farmer's market would be paying more, but they're going from $20 to $75, and they do sell a lot of
And
food.
is that also a function of the fact that they have to get like more manpower, women power's got to be out there to inspect them?
Well, it causes more it's because they have to inspect it more frequently when you have things that spoil faster.
All right, that makes sense. So,
So if the township committee is in agreement, then somebody should move to accept the amendments outlined by the township administrator, second it, and then move to amend the ordinance, and then the ordinance as amended will be continued until the March 9th
correct.
meeting for
Yeah.
final adoption, for continued public hearing and final adoption, with no further publication, or except for the notice of the amendment.
Correct.
So moved.
Second.
well, regular vote or voice vote?
We'll do a roll call vote.
Right.
Assessor Sherman,
Yes.
Committeeman Lavender,
Yes.
Committeeman Ray,
Yes.
Committeeman Berleza,
Yes.
Mayor Dorsey.
Yes. So now we open to the public.
Oh, you don't even have to
Oh.
continue the public hearing, so.
All right, so then this will be adjourned now to March 9th, 2022 for finalization.
And a public hearing.
And a
On the
public
ordinance
hearing,
as
sorry.
amended.
Correct.
Then we have the approval of minutes. Can I have approval to approve the January 19th, 2022 Board of Health reorg meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Assessor Sherman,
Yes.
Committeeman Lavender,
Yes.
Committeeman Ray,
Yes.
Committeeman Berleza,
Yes.
Mayor Dorsey.
Yes. All right, so any discussion items anybody wants to bring up? Seeing none. Anybody from the public have anything to say or address to the Board of Health? Anybody in cyberspace have anything for us?
If you're on Zoom and would like to make a public comment in regards to the Board of Health meeting, please raise your hand now. I don't see anyone, Mayor.
All right, seeing none, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so now we're back to the Township Committee meeting. Let's see, we have the consent agenda, then I'll let the firemen do their presentation. So with consent agenda, are there any items that need to be pulled out, discussed, commented on? Seeing, thank you, Mr. Sherman.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. All right, can I have a motion to approve resolutions 22-61 to 22-69?
So moved.
Second.
Committeeman Lavender,
Yes.
Committeeman Ray,
Yes.
Committeeman Berleza,
Yes.
Mayor Dorsey.
Yes. Next, I'll turn over the meeting to the Sterling Fire Company who has a presentation. Mr. Tuma and Mr. Gallo are coming up, I believe.
$75,000 per year over 5 years would cover the cost of both engines, which would total $1.375. And that would be completely outfitted rescue as well as a completely outfitted.
Okay, can I interrupt you? I just got a message from our TV person that there's no sound. Did you hit the button?
No, I didn't hit this button. Hold on. Did it come back on? Hold on.
I didn't know if it was.
I hit the on button for the, there's
I gotta start over?
no sound for anybody?
I forgot what I said, so I don't know if I could start over.
It said it cut out. Somebody texted me, said just cut out.
Can they hear us talking?
It said he said as soon as we went to the fire department.
I didn't hit any buttons. Do we have a screen we can put up? Sorry for the delay. I hit the microphone.
didn't
The
recess,
planning
I-
board one?
Yeah. Oh wait,
The
no.
recess?
He said yes. Now we can.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's when I put that up on the screen. I think.
You don't have to start over. You can continue where you left off.
Okay. So I'll just recap that we're looking to replace 2 emergency vehicles within the township for the Sterling Fire Company. And so our...
Back up on the dollar amount, because that would
Yeah.
be...
Yeah, so we were requesting 275, of course, it's up to the CFO as to how the township wants to pay for it, but currently with the numbers that we got, both for the engine and the rescue, incorporates a certain amount of discounts that are afforded if we do it with that 5-year plan. So the pumper right now is priced at $603,518.71, and the rescue is $692,983.34. So there are some options that we can talk with the CFO about, prepaying for chassis and things like that, so there are optional discounts. I know that that doesn't total the 1.375 that is being asked of the township, but we also have to outfit the trucks. So along with the trucks being 20 years old, also a lot of the equipment is 20 years old as well. So that number is something that we're asking for, to have 2 complete trucks, a rescue, and a pumper. Yeah, so, and one of the reasons why we're also going with the same manufacturer and why we're proposing to the township that we replace both trucks at the same time, not only for financial savings, but also these are going to be 2 identical trucks. So the operators of those trucks, when they jump in these trucks, they'll know exactly what the layout is. The cabs are going to be laid out. All the equipment is exactly the same between both the rescue and the new pumper. So there's a lot of advantages that we find that would benefit the township and the safety of the firefighters, et cetera, that we do replace both trucks at the same time, both financially and operationally.
Is there any maintenance value to using all Pierce equipment?
100%, yeah. So we would have, and that'll probably be at a later meeting, but we would want that these trucks be, budgeted to, be repaired, and maintenance is overseen, on a regular basis, which really hasn't happened in the past. But there is going to be a financial savings as well to have all 3 trucks being Pierce, same, repair and maintenance that'll be had on those trucks.
Now, I know when Millington came in, they had a long lead time for the ladder truck, which is probably a little more complicated than these. So what's like the lead time? If you ordered it today, what's the time frame to have these trucks delivered?
So it's interesting that you brought that up, Matt, because the lead time is 22 months. So we wouldn't see these trucks for 20 to 22 months. Also, Pierce notified us today, I believe, that we really need a commitment by April 30th. We try to push that date back, but April 30th, if we don't get a commitment from the township, the increase on each truck would go up by about $50,000. So you're looking at about another $100,000 for 2 apparatus if we don't make a decision and get under contract with Pierce by April 30th.
I have one more question for anybody else does. And we asked the same question in Millington. Is there any trade-in value and/or resale value? I know it's not a ladder, so it's a little different, for the rescue truck and/or your pumper right now?
There would be. That number I cannot
No, I
even.
didn't ask for the number.
Yeah. So there is still value in those two apparatus that we currently have and that are currently in service, but I can't even guess to what that is. I can have that probably within a week.
Oh, okay.
So he, our sales representative from Pierce would come out. He's got to take pictures. He's got to inspect the truck. One of the things is tire replacement has to be done on those trucks, so that would decrease the value, or we can replace the tires on our own. And what was the other thing that they had mentioned?
Tanks,
Oh yeah, and engine 22 has a 500-gallon tank currently, which isn't really desirable. Most companies are looking for 750-gallon, which is what obviously we're going to be purchasing, hopefully.
And on the new
With this
truck, so
truck.
it'd be 750, would that be any chemical or be all water?
So it's a little different. It would be all water. Right now, we will have a foam system on the pumper truck, and but it works a little differently now. But it's more air-induced. It's not that old chemical-based thing. So it's very different and certainly more efficient.
All right, anybody else have questions?
Straightforward.
So we got it.
We'll keep you posted.
What's that?
Do you have any, Al, any of the guys over there wanting to add anything?
No, these are most of the guys that are on the committee that spent a lot of time on this, not just this year, but going back, I think we've been coming back a few years.
No, I'd like to commend both your company and Millington. Both did excellent research and nice presentations for everybody. So thank you for making our decision easier one way or another by the information and preparedness that both companies were, so.
So I'm
Thank
here
you.
for the rest of the meeting. At the end, if residents have any questions, I'll be able to ask them. Or
Thank you.
Do they do that now or no?
No, I mean, you can ask them questions the whole or
if
something.
they have any questions.
Yeah, they can go see one of you guys, but thank you very much. Good job, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so where are we? Liaison reports. Is that what? What? Oh, you want to do that? We can. Do you want to talk? Oh, yeah, I'll do liaison reports, then we'll go down to finance. I just put them up front because everybody was here. All right, liaison reports. Let's see. Brendan, you were first last time. Scott, your turn.
Okay, recreation.
Where to stay down?
With this fine spring weather, it feels like it's time to have recreation, right? All right, a lot of things going on here. So, number one, there is still time to enter the Long Hill Snowman competition, believe it or not. It ends March 6th, and it looks like there might be some snow. So you can get onto that online on our website, as well as the Winter Landscapes Photography Contest, which goes until March 15th. Next, Saturday Recreation Basketball continues till March 5th, and on March 5th, we will announce our champion knockout basketball players for grades 5 through 8. The travel basketball programs are going to conclude by March 20th, and the adult basketball programs continue until May 5th. Next, are you interested in a summer job this year? Consider joining the Parks and Recreation team. We're looking for staff in our camps and lifeguards at Sterling Lake. Applied by April 1st. The flyer for that is on the recreation page on our website. Next, the Rutgers Safety Clinic is coming up. Now, this is something that if you're coaching in the Long Hill Baseball and Softball Association, you're going to want to pay attention to this because you're going to need Rutgers Safety Clinic training. That's coming up in person on Wednesday, March 9th, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's a mandatory one-time class that all volunteered coaches must take. So if you haven't taken it, you must take it in order to coach. Coaches must pre-register. You can get that online as well. And also, should mention that first aid classes and CPR classes for the community will resume they'll start up again soon, so keep an eye out for that. Next, April 8th to April 16th. We got a little contest going here for children age 14 and under. Uncover Peter Cottontail's trail through Long Hill. Children will be provided with clues and a map to stop in at local Long Hill businesses for prizes to try and find out the route that Peter Cottontail intends to take when he visits Long Hill. Brendan, you cannot compete.
He's got an outfit for and everything.
He does. He's like Easter egg yellow. Stand up, please. This is another event made possible by the cooperative efforts between the Parks and Rec Department and the local Chamber of Commerce. There's a flyer on this as well. Next, Saturday, April 9th, 10 a.m. sharp is the annual egg hunt. And we're going to do this the way we did it prior to COVID. It's free for all children 8 and under. Bring your baskets for an egg hunt in the park. And as part of this event, the Parks and Recreation Committee is working with the Long Hill Chamber of Commerce, who will sponsor an adult egg hunt after the children's egg hunt. In addition, Choose Academy of Martial Arts, Little People's Playhouse, and Ava's Homemade Ice Cream will sponsor a petting zoo and pony rides at the park. That was alliteration, petting rides and pony zoo. Or is that pony zoo and petting rides? I don't know. Fingers crossed for good weather, just in case Mother Nature does not cooperate. The rain snow date is April 16th. And that's Park and Recreations.
That's everything?
That is everything.
All right, Vic, I'm sure you got something from Mercer Street.
All right. We got a quick one here this week. So motor vehicle stops year to date, 156. Community policing and proactive residential radar posts, 274. Arrest incidents year to date, 3. And actual subjects arrested, both adult and juvenile, 4. Major incidents, we have none to report, but we do have a special request. Please help us help you to get the appropriate help. Do not take to social media for police assistance or concerns, as it delays or impedes the ability for police to provide assistance. Always contact your police department directly for suspicious activity prior to reporting it on Facebook. And that concludes the Police Liaison Report.
Thank you. Brendan?
Nothing from me.
I have nothing aside from DPW still working their cleanups. They will be ready in any snow emergency, and all the fire company members, excellent job, and thank you for all you do. Let's see, old, new, let's we move, oh, sorry, Nancy, Administrator's Report. First time I missed it.
Thank you. The light installation at Cantor Park was delayed again, but this was due to the weather. Some of the preliminary work's been done, but they need 5 solid days of good weather in order to do the actual installation. So fingers crossed that'll happen next week. Starting next month sometime, residents will finally be able to pay for construction permits by credit cards, either in person or online. So we're finally getting the construction department, in the 21st century. New Jersey American Water began replacement of the water main, which was originally from the 1930s on Northfield Road yesterday. The project is estimated to take about 3 months. If residents have questions, they should call New Jersey American Water at 800-272-1325, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And this information is on our website, and all the affected people should have received door hangers with all that information on it. Reminder to residents to sign up for Recycle Coach for garbage and recycling schedules and for emergency notifications, like whenever the garbage is delayed due to weather or a broken down truck. The link to sign up is on our website, and you can either download the app or access it from any computer. You don't even need to have a smartphone. Another reminder to renew dog licenses if you have not already. They must be renewed by February 27th to avoid additional late fees. Licenses can be renewed online, and step-by-step instructions are available on our website. And finally, at the last meeting, as you will recall, we talked about the display cabinet for the Historic Preservation Advisory Committee for the old schoolhouse, and the cost had increased to $7,500, which included $1,200 in shipping. After the last meeting, I called the company, told them we would pick it up to be, to not have to pay the shipping cost, and they said we were not allowed to because of COVID. So I sent them an email asking them to lower the shipping cost because they were forcing us to use their company. So good news, they reduced the shipping cost by $900, and they gave me a discount on the cabinet itself by another $900. So now the total cost came down from $7,500 to $5,628.
Ah, nice job.
Nice.
Right, so
Don't
we're
ask,
good to
don't
go with
get.
that,
That's
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I have.
Do you have any idea when they're gonna deliver? We have to pay for it though, I guess, but.
I haven't even ordered it because
all right.
wanted you guys to say, okay?
All right.
And then,
Yeah. Big difference.
Based on that new information, do you have a problem with them placing the order now?
Yeah.
Do it.
All right.
Yeah. We should probably order 2.
Anything else, Nancy?
That's it, that's all I have.
Before we go discussion items, under old business, I saw Mr. Cortman show. Mr. Cortman, just so you don't have to sit here all night, we are in the process of researching this issue. I can tell you this, Nancy has spent hours since you came to the last meeting looking up title searches, deeds, talking to professionals, so we will have an answer for you in writing within the next couple days.
I would still appreciate the opportunity to...
Absolutely. Okay, we'll let you speak, but I just want to tell you that in case you were waiting, that's the update for you. All right, so now we go to discussion items. We already talked about fire trucks, so ladder truck financing. This came up the last meeting, and I know Randy, the CFO, made a presentation, so where do we leave off with that?
At the last meeting, Committeeman Ray raised the issue of possibly leasing the fire truck without purchasing it at the end of the term. So we reached out to the finance company to ask them, you know, what the cost would be for that. And they do offer a 7-year lease at 3.31%. It ends up costing $253,787 in interest. And then if you compare that to the outright purchase financing at 3.25%, the interest would be $266,940,000. So the 7 years are a little less. The other one was 10 years. But either way, based on $250,000 in interest, we're recommending that we either bond or do bond anticipation notes like Randy recommended at the last meeting, because it's virtually no interest. And you know, I recognize that you said you'd get a new truck every 7 years, but the life of a fire truck is way longer than 7 years. So if we did it that way and we ended up leasing, we would have annual payments in perpetuity, you know, for fire trucks. So to save the taxpayers $250,000 on the interest, we're recommending that you go with the original way.
Now it'd be purchasing it the way Randy suggested, so it's really no interest rate.
It's virtually no interest.
Okay. Obviously, you can't.
Yeah, I mean, actually, just there's one thing I'd just like to. I mean, I'm in agreement, obviously, with Randy's assessment, right? But one of the things, and not tonight, but you know, maybe the next meeting if we have time, I'd like to explore the issue or the idea of, by ordinance, however we would do it, Jack, is to obligate us every budget to kind of put money in a fund for fire trucks and well, for emergency vehicles in general. And I mean, I know that we can't bind other committees, and you know, there could be a pot of money that could be used by any committee in the future. But I think if we do it properly, at least it's a decision that has to be brought out front and discussed in the future. So if some future committee had decided to use that money for something other than emergency vehicles, so as I say, we don't need to discuss it tonight, but I think we should. It's worthy of a discussion, because we're going to come up at some point in the future with a situation like we have now, where two companies are buying vehicles. So.
Right, and the way we're buying them, if we're buying them essentially the same year, they're pretty much going to be at the end of their useful life the same year.
Yeah.
So it's not great timing, but I understand why they're all being proposed to be bought the same year.
So at this point, we're just determining how we're going to finance the ladder truck, correct?
Correct.
All right, so you can't vote, but do you, Vic, Scott, you have any input on this?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, so I guess it's fair to say the consensus is buy the truck at the way Randy suggested, over that thing with the no interest, basically little no interest.
I guess we'll need a bond ordinance from
Yeah, we'd need a bond ordinance.
Oh, okay.
So we'll have to authorize bond council to prepare an ordinance.
All right, so that's the
Yeah.
next step then.
And then
Yep.
we'll do a resolution authorizing bans.
And I believe you guys are going out, when, a couple weeks?
For
To spec out the truck?
no, we did that
We did
already. Yep.
Oh,
yep.
okay, cool.
Yep.
All right, so at least the process is moving forward then. Good
Yep.
job.
Okay, so the next meeting, we'll introduce the bond ordinance.
All right, aside from Brendan that's, I guess, new business what Brendan want to discuss about.
Yeah.
It's basically a fund
Yeah.
to start providing for future purchases for all the companies.
Yeah.
We can talk about the next meeting or whenever, sometime in the near future. And anybody else have any old or new business? Scott, Vic?
Nope.
All right. So, now we have I guess we're accepting technically, I'm accepting the reservation of Mr. Ferreira from the HPAC, the Historic Preservation Committee. I know Ms. Praza's here. Do you want to say anything about Nick? Briefly?
A little premature because what I prepared was also thanking you for the next thing I'm assuming you're going to do.
Yeah, that's fine. You can
First of
expect
all,
that to
Nancy,
happen.
thank you with working on that display cabinet. It has been a bit of time getting to us. We really appreciate that. Good evening. My name is Carol Praza, and I'm the chairperson of your Historic Preservation Advisory Committee. Thank you for appointing Lori Falzerano, Mazursky, and Fred Sean to our committee, and we look forward to working with them. I know you haven't done it yet, but I'm assuming that will happen in a minute. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Nick Ferrara, who is stepping down from HPAC. I first met Nick over 35 years ago when he volunteered his time and knowledge to Long Hill's Board of Education. Nick's guidance was invaluable as Long Hill was in the process of making renovations and planning additions to our school. Some years later, when St. Vincent de Paul was building a new church, Nick was there to help and advise their building committee. A decade later or so, wait a minute, I lost my place. A decade later or so, once again, he generously gave his time and knowledge to our library building committee and later joined HPAC to assist with the renovation of Millington Schoolhouse Old Town Hall. Needless to say, Nick is one of those many generous volunteers whose energies make Long Hill such a special place to live, and we will miss him. But he has assured us that he will be available if and when we ever need his advice. There seems to be some confusion among members of our community over requirements for membership in HPAC. Hence, I thought I'd take 1 minute to clarify Long Hill's ordinance. It's 232-35-1, 358-2015. And it says, the Historic Preservation Advisory Committee shall consist of at least one member of each of the following classes. Class A person who is knowledgeable in building design and construction or architectural history or may reside outside the town. Class B and C relate to volunteers with just an interest in local history. Nevertheless, confusion seems to arise over the requirements for a member of the Class A with a Class A membership. And let me say it again, a person who is knowledgeable in building design and construction or architectural history. Somehow this sentence has been misinterpreted in the past to mean that members of Class A status, members with Class A status must have a collegiate degree in architecture, design, or engineering. And this is clearly a misinterpretation of that verbiage. We are fortunate that several of our members have varied academic degrees and collegiate credits in history, design, and related fields, as well as professional background in specific fields of historic knowledge. And one of our members is a retired builder who, with his father, were builders in Long Hill Township for half a century. Hence, their knowledge and backgrounds meet the requirements for membership on HPAC as Class A members. If HPAC needs specific professional advice, we, like your other committees, turn to the township's contracted professionals. We are very fortunate to have an incredibly talented team on HPAC, and we look forward to another productive year. I hope this helps clarify the question of HPAC membership, and thank you for your support and for your work and generosity to our town. Thank you.
So these are mayoral appointments. Ms. Rosmarsky and Mr. Hunt are going to be appointed to the HPAC for 3-year terms, filling Mr. Ferreira's and unfortunately Mr. Rossi's. So they'll be appointed, I guess, at the next meeting or immediately. Immediately, sorry. So they're appointed immediately. They're good to go. Announcements. Brenda, you got anything?
Nothing.
Scott?
Nope.
Vic?
Nope.
I have 2 announcements. One, March 26th, the Sterling Fire Company Venison Dinner. People say to me, oh, it's gamey. No, it's not. This is locally sourced, and it's more importantly cooked with love by volunteers and members of the fire department. And I can tell you this, that you won't even know you're eating venison. I'm not gonna say it tastes like chicken, but it's excellent. They have, you name it, they prepare it. They have sausage, meatloaf, tacos, and a bunch of, they probably have 6 or 7 other dishes. And it's excellent, it's a good time, and it supports the fire department, so I encourage you to all come out on the 26th, a Saturday. If you need tickets, you can go on the Sterling Fire Company website or on your Facebook page. And contact a member and they'll hook you up with tickets. You can buy tables, so if you have friends that are in the hunting game, please bring them. I know a lot of people from out of town come and look forward to it. There's raffles and door prizes. It's a good time. Second, I read in the Star Ledger the other day, it says congratulations to Sterling's own O Bagel. They were ranked number 6 bagel place in the entire state. So Sam and family, congratulations. My brother, coincidentally, was probably one of the first employees they had 30 years ago when he was in high school. And he even said to me the other day, because I haven't had a bagel that good anywhere, and he travels all over the place and lives in California. So congratulations to Sterling's own bagel, and please patronize and go check out the number 6 rated bagelry in the state. Maybe we can bump it up a few notches next year. All right. Anybody from the public have anything they want to come up and discuss? Mr. Tuma. Yeah, sure ahead.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to jump in front of you, just because it's still in line with what I proposed earlier. And
I should get to the mic, right? So, and Nancy reminded us when you're going over the budget for, the Millington ladder, it's just brought to my attention. I don't know the process. It's 2008 was the last time I was on the committee to purchase Engine 24. But I think it's important for the committee and the township to understand the importance of timing for this truck. And with the increase of steel going up 300% and everything else, if we don't get a commitment by that April 30th, I just want you guys to understand that it's going to jump in the neighborhood of $50,000 per truck. So I don't know if I can ask for a commitment or if we can approach the CFO outside of the meeting, or if it has to be done on a public forum. I just don't know what the next step is, for us to understand how we're going to either finance the truck, buy the truck, because again, just to remind you, there are significant discounts by purchasing the truck, with I think how you're approaching buying for the Millington ladder.
Go ahead.
When we prepared the budget, we had a little heads up that this request is coming. So we did put $200,000 for Millington and $200,000 for Sterling in capital. That would represent the down payment. We actually already have Millington from last year's capital ordinance. So it would be the second payment for Millington, which actually probably won't come until next year. And it would represent the deposit for Sterling. So well,
Pierce does not require a deposit to...
Well, from our perspective,
okay.
It's an installment, call it that. It's like our first installment out of 10.
Okay. Because, okay.
Actually, it's less. It's less because we figured out, I don't remember the exact number, but it's less than 200,000 for yours.
Well, what do you want to do this week then? Coordinate with Nancy and and Randy,
Right.
because we can we can put it. We agree on everything. We can put it in the bond ordinance or get that all going in the same thing, so we're not paying the bond attorney 3 times of the same work.
So is the committee comfortable with at least us going forward with this proposal?
Well, I'm not going to commit fully, but yeah, start at least do your stuff on your end.
Yeah, because this way we can get a written proposal from Pierce. And again, they don't require a down payment, but we would save an additional $10,467 and a little bit more for the rescue if we commit by that time period. And then they would just require $301,168 halfway through the contract period. So
Can you say that first number again?
Which one, hon?
The first one.
$10,467.90 would be an additional savings to the township
Oh, I'm
for the
sorry.
pumper.
I thought you said they needed, I thought you were saying how much money they needed.
They would only need $301,168.88 halfway through the contract period. So as soon as we have a written proposal from Pierce officially and then signed off, it would be halfway through.
And you're buying it through the co-op, correct?
They are a part of the co-op, correct?
All right, so that saves some headaches then.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess from your end, at least go forward with what you have to do. And then obviously we started to discuss and budget it. So with next meeting, we'll have some more information, I guess?
Yeah, I guess Nancy and
Randy?
Randy could talk to bond council and include all three trucks.
So I can move forward with Pierce just giving us a formal written
Oh, yeah.
proposal.
Yeah, as long as it's not gonna cost us any money, go for it.
No, no.
Yeah, no, yeah.
The
That's-
only thing is, it's gonna set the time period for this deadline of April.
April 30th, right.
But that's the deadline regardless, right? Yeah, so, I mean, if we're going forward with
Official
it,
proposal.
yeah, if we're going
How
forward with
good is,
this-
how good is their quote valid for? Is it 30 days?
I believe it's 60.
60
Oh, so it's April.
Yeah, I think it's 60.
All right, so if you get a quote this week, does that mean it's good beyond April 30th? No, it would be
No.
April 30th. Okay,
We would have to have a signed contract by April 30th.
got it. Okay.
I mean, we'll have a decision one way or another by April 30th. I don't think that's gonna be an issue.
Okay.
Especially if it's gonna be a yes, we're not gonna wait until after that.
Okay.
Thank you for that additional information.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. All right, any other members of the public have any questions, comments, concerns? All right, wait, Mr. Cortman's closer, Frank, you gotta wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
So remember, it's 3 minutes.
You know what's coming.
Well, no, unless you have something new, we know what's coming.
Good evening, Richard Cortman, 57-year resident of this township. The conversation, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to improve my public speaking skills, because I noticed that through the last twice, when I came 2 times already, I hadn't been able to get through to you folks as well as I would have liked. And so this time you're giving me an opportunity to do that. Now, I understand you did get my letter, and you know you asked for it, and that's good. You wanted to know why I came, why I come to you people. You know, I know that we both have the same objective, to make the township a better place and a safe place to live in. Now, right here, I see what just happened the other day over in a neighboring township. We have a culvert that collapsed and caused lots and lots of damage. And that's part of their water main system. That's part of the stormwater system. I wouldn't like to see that happen here. And obviously, our system also needs to be maintained. And it hasn't. In the letter that I sent to you, I said, the existing system consists of stormwater drains, underground pipes, and open channels throughout the township. I did a little research because one of you members, I don't know what's the fellow who was here, who said that their deed said that they had to take care of that ditch. Was that you?
Yes, sir.
Right. And so I that's why I put this in here. So I did a little research, and I looked up the codes, you know, the water codes that you have here, the definitions or what have you. Municipal separate storm sewer system, Chapter 12, 1-2. Shall mean a conveyance or system of conveyances including roads with drainage systems, municipal streets, catch basins, curbs, gutters, ditches, and this is the key one, man-made channels or storm drains that is owned or operated by the Township of Long Hill. Now, I know you take care of the streets, I know you take care of the drains. And since the man-made channel that I'm talking about is part of that system, and to say, or to appear to say that you're not responsible doesn't make sense to me based upon what I see in your ordinance. And that threw me off when I got that comment that there was a reticence to say, yes, we need to take care of this. And I certainly don't want this to happen. And what happened now with Ida, we just had, a big storm that came through with Ida, and had a lot of property damage and a lot of damage to people's houses. And part of it is due to the capacity of our storm drainage system. And I'll have a little bit more to say about that in a minute.
Mr. Cortman, you're running out of time. I don't want to cut you off, but
Okay, I'll try to be quick. The other thing, okay, I'll try to cut it short. I'll have next time, or maybe somebody here will give me their 3 minutes.
yield.
And I'll get another 3 minutes. Okay, give me another 3 minutes, okay? I think I mentioned last time that I'm big on customer service, and I've said that each meeting, what can I do for you? How can I help you? Is customer service. Not, there's no way I can help you, or nothing I can do about it, blah, blah, blah. That's not customer service. And I get good and bad here. I've had some good experiences recently, and I've had a couple of bad ones. Now, I mentioned last time that there was a big tree down on the main, this ditch that we're talking about, the drainage ditch. It's not on my property. It's not on property. The tree came down from township-owned property, went across the ditch onto the other side, and it is now blocking the water from going through. It's not stopping it 100%, but it's blocking it. In January, I notified the Public Works fellow, Mr. Gallo. He was very good. He came down, looked at it, and says, "Yeah, that we'll do something about that." And I said, "Fine." And he said to me, "Let me know when it goes all the way down," because it was only down that much. Well, it went down, and then I sent him an email that here's a picture of it, and this is the picture, and I'll be glad to give it to you, and you can give it to them to take a look at. This was an email to him, and he told me that he didn't get it, that he didn't get my email, and he said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it, Mr. Cortman." Last time, Al's very good. I have no complaints with Al. So the only problem is I haven't heard from him since.
Al, he was out there the day after the meeting last meeting.
I sent
I know
another
that.
email message, but I haven't heard that. At least you come back to me and say, "Hey, Dick, I'll be there to get it. I'll be there. Don't worry."
I apologize. I thought on the committee, I went for him under the bus.
But you will.
Yeah.
That's water.
See, I was
That's
getting
water.
worried, because, I'll tell you why I was getting worried, because I thought that he might be saying, "I'm not responsible for this anymore," because the committee would say, "It's not ours." So he could say, "I don't have to do this. I don't have to do this because the committee says it's not their job."
I don't think the
And I'm
committee's...
claiming that it is.
Wait, I don't think the committee's saying that. I think the committee asked you to send a letter.
Oh,
And
and
this
I
is a
sent
little
it.
research.
I sent it, and you've had it. But he did say that his deed says that he is responsible.
That's his property, not
Yes.
yours.
I agree, but he gave the inference that he wanted the committee had to look into that maybe they're not
We
responsible.
asked you to send a letter to research your situation, and that's what we're doing. And we're going to give you an answer. And
Okay.
Mrs. Malula spent a ton of time on it.
A lot of time.
A
You
lot
don't
of
want to
time.
spend a lot of time on it. You want this to happen again?
No, he said I did.
This is
spend-
important.
he
This
said
is
I-
important that you people
he thinks
do something.
He thinks he
If you want to,
spend a lot of time.
if we get another hurricane like we had a few years ago, it might be worse. This is not a trivial task, and I even say in my letter, you got to give the guy resources to do the job. But I'm getting nothing.
You are going to get.
You are getting
something.
Yeah,
I've
you-
heard that
yeah.
before.
You
I've
might
heard
not...
that.
No.
yeah,
You absolutely are going to get a response.
Okay.
You might not like
I
what
have
you get,
one-
Mr.
I have
Cortman.
I have one more item.
Yes.
I have one more item. Please indulge me.
I will tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. If I can get another 3 minutes, that'd be good.
You can have my 3 minutes.
Okay, your 3 minutes. As you know, we have an engineer in the town. He doesn't have any customer service. I saw him 5 years ago. He never returned. He never helped at all. Paul. Okay? Now, so I kind of looked at what's Paul's responsibilities. So I look at it in the website, and I see what it says here, that he's got to do other services, including improvement design, tax map, and map revisions, studies to evaluate sewer rates, capacity studies of storm sewers, et cetera, et cetera. So now I said, well, okay, has the committee ever got a storm study from our engineer who told you the cubic feet per second capacity of the various parts of our sewer system? And based upon rainfall amounts that have been increasing in recent years, how does our system be able to handle that? Has he ever delivered one study to you? I'd like to see it.
I believe
Is anybody aware of a study?
Oaks Road, he definitely did one. That's recent. And I know he spoke to you at some point in time.
5 years ago.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago. And his office has been in constant contact with Ms. Moole about this over the last 10 days. I know that for a fact.
Last 10 days.
Mayor, we also have a stormwater management meeting coming up in March, so he does handle stormwater management.
I know he does. I just read it.
Right.
All right, but I'd like to see one of the studies. Is it available to me? Can I see one of his studies that he's done in the last 5 years? He's been around a long
You can send
time.
an Oprah request if there is one, correct? Yeah, you can send, Mr. Ivanowitz will tell you how to do that, but you can send an Oprah request.
All right,
And get the
I'd like to see what it says. Because he was the one who told me one of his ways of telling me he can't do anything. He says, you know, if there's a cattail in this open channel, if there's a cattail, we can't go in there and do anything.
If it's
because it's
DEP
against the
regulated,
EPA.
He's probably telling you the truth. That's what he gets paid to do.
I read the EPA documents. The EPA documents recommend open channels, say that open channels need to be maintained. The EPA, at worst, you could clear out the channel around the one cattail that may be in there. But to say to me that we can't do anything with it because of the cattails, that is nonsense.
There are laws we can't, unfortunately, whether you like them or not, you still have to obey them. That's the problem with some of these DEP and things.
Well, I'm telling you that the EPA will allow you to maintain your open main channel, and they recommend it. It's the best kind of a system to have.
Thank you, Mr. Cortman.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to apologize if I came across as if I was somehow against you or didn't want to help you. I happen to be sympathetic towards your position because I recently have an issue with a retention system on my property. But through my research, I found out that it's written into my deed that I need to maintain I'm responsible for the general maintenance, and that's all that I was getting at. To look at the deed and take a look and see if it's self-explanatory or not. I didn't really realize that what I was responsible for or not until there was a problem with the retention system on my property, and I was forced to do some research. That's what I meant. So I apologize if I came across the wrong way. It was not my intention.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Cortman. All right. Any other member of the public wish to? Mr. Liberato, come on up. Three minutes. There you go.
I'm going to donate a clock so you can put it on the wall, so you big red letters so everybody can stay on track for you. Good evening. I'll keep it brief. I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you for the opportunity to come up here and speak.
Yeah, your name for the clerk's going to get off.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Frank Liberato, 589 Heritage Road.
Thank you.
Thank you. We good now?
Yeah, good.
The 3 minutes starts now, then.
Yeah,
okay.
You're good.
All right. I listened to the meeting tonight, and I was a little disappointed that I didn't hear in any of the reports tonight an update on what we discussed 2 weeks ago regarding the radio system, because I know, you had mentioned that there was a short-term solution being explored, and I was looking for an update. I thought maybe it would have been a liaison's report or one of the liaisons would have, as far as is something in place today correcting the problem, and what is the long term?
We have a meeting with the county On Monday, a Zoom meeting. All the emergency management people will be there, people from the township will be there, and people from the county will be there. So up until, we don't have any new news until after Monday's meeting.
So the county has not offered to come to the meeting and answer any questions
Well,
from...
they're coming to the meeting Monday.
So the meeting's gonna be open to the public
No.
with the county?
No, we have a meeting with them on Monday.
So as of right now, we have the same radio system, no changes, still no work, not working in the buildings, and still portions of where I live in Millington so there's been no temporary fix, nothing at the
As
moment.
far as I know, that's accurate.
And the county hasn't offered a mobile tower or anything to boost the signal to address this, because each day's ticking by. I mean, I know a lot of time has gone by, and I'm sure they're gonna have another meeting. As you said, you're having a meeting Monday, but
Correct.
I assume there's not gonna be a technician there at the meeting putting a tower up at that moment and addressing the issue. My concern still lies in the fact that, whether it's me or you guys or one of our loved ones has an emergency, in Millington especially, because that's where I live and that's where there's a lot of dead areas, or even in the schools, if the county can't reach an officer, say for instance the district car close to my house in Millington, can't reach him for whatever reason because we're having comm issues, now you're losing precious time. And I know you guys are concerned, but I don't know what else could be done in the short term to address this, because if after your meeting, you find out it's gonna take 3 months to fix, 6 months to fix, that's a lot of time and exposure, and I'm concerned. I mean, listen, if one of our loved ones is having an emergency, every second counts. And if there's a delay reaching to that police car, that we have great response time in this town. I mean, the officers are usually within 2 minutes from dispatch, they're at your house. It's always been great. And the first responders are great. But all this time that gets lost, those seconds can make a difference. If somebody's having a cardiac arrest or something to that effect. So what is the county, may I address the chief?
Go ahead.
Is that,
You might have, maybe he has more answer than me, but I don't think so. But
what happens if the county is trying to dispatch I'm having a medical emergency, God forbid, and they can't reach a district car in Millington? Who do they call? Do they call a car on the other side of town? What happens?
you want to get the mic, chief, please.
Good. My 3 minutes stops while he's talking, right?
You're close. Well,
So we've made it a habit, we kind of, the whole adapt and overcome, we made it a habit to issue the cell phone numbers of the specific on-call or on-duty supervisor to the dispatcher. There's been circumstances where they've had to utilize the sergeant's cell phone to contact him to say, we have a call in progress, or so on and so forth. Again, not the way that it should be done, but that's kind of the temporary workaround, I guess.
thank you, chief.
3 minutes.
So I'm sorry we don't have any more answers for you today, but hopefully by next week we'll have a little better idea of what's going on.
And my other concern would be, how is the county not in some sort of breach of contract with us as basically the customer for having had such deficiencies in their system for so long that we can't hurdle them along more quickly to address this? Is there something in the contract that it could effectively say, hey, listen, you have 30 days to address it?
I never saw the contract, but Jack knows.
There's not. The contract basically says the county will do what they can.
All right. The last point I'll bring up of concern is there is a delay, and I've talked to other residents, that when they've called for services, not on the officer's end, but from the intake center, by the time it goes to the intake, to the dispatcher, and all the questions that they're asking, by the time it gets to a car. Where when I used to work here and prior to switching to the county, I guess my main point is, I think we really need to look at seeing about bringing it back into the fold, into the town, as an option. And I think we need to really seriously consider it, because when we used to get a call coming in, we could start telling the cars on the radio, hey, start heading to 589 Heritage Road, we got a medical emergency, while you're still taking the information. It doesn't work that way, is my understanding. They have a call taker, because I've called before for even non-emergency, suspicious person, whatever, and, they're taking a litany of stuff. They don't even know where ShopRite is in town. You're gonna have to give them an address and that type of thing, and when you're under pressure, it pays to have that local feel. So I would request the council consider exploring that option again and bringing it back under the fold. Because you know what? savings is great, and I'm good, and I appreciate everyone trying to save money, keep our taxes lower, and at the same time, be very fiscally responsible. But sometimes, cost savings doesn't outweigh life safety. And if you told me it cost me an extra $100 a year to have our own dispatchers in town and control the radios at work, so if God forbid there's an issue in the schools, the officers can have contact and not have to scramble with a cell phone and put their gun down to pick up on an emergency call and have to call from a cell, it's not acceptable. And I couldn't sleep at night. And that's why, I'm here, and I'm going to continue to come until we find a resolution, because this is a serious issue. And I know you all take it serious, but I don't feel the county is holding up their end of the deal, and we need to hold them accountable.
Thank you, Frank. You can also petition the county too, and let them know the.
That's my next step.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I said it last week, and I completely agree with what Frank just said. We have to look at.
Yes, sir.
We have to look at taking the system.
It's mine.
Everyone credit card? Bathroom off, $5.
It's no good.
Yeah, go.
We have to look seriously at taking the system back in-house, and the sooner we do it, the better. I think we had a system that used to work, and maybe one of the first steps would be to find out what that system comprised of, and see if it's still viable, or if technology's moved on, what we need to do. But it's going to help us here, and it's really the only option that we have with the county. If we want to, if we want to get them to improve their system, is tell them we're leaving, and we actually have the system in place that we can, or we know what we have to do in order to leave. I believe it's a 6 months.
6 month notice. would be
Six
perfect.
months notice. We can get this thing up and running once we know, and move on and sort this out. I mean, just today, my county radio worked in my gear locker. I heard it. I picked it up. Didn't work anymore. So whenever I was in the firehouse, so Frank, I applaud you for coming back here and raising this again. And it's a system that it's a situation that we've now been talking about it for a month, and we need to do something about it soon.
Thank you. Mr. Groskopf.
Good evening, Tom Groskopf, Gillette. Some old business. I believe it was Ms. Praza who said, maybe it was the end of last year, that it would be a good idea to have open discussion after first reading of an ordinance, as opposed to after it's, well, do you do it before the second reading, or do you do it after the second reading, after the vote, then you have open discussion?
No, we have
Of ordinances.
Sorry.
Jack, explain it.
Yeah, the process is that it's introduced and scheduled for public hearing. And then at the second reading, there's a public hearing prior to the vote.
Prior to the vote,
Right.
okay.
And that's statutory. And really, the first reading, the purpose of the first reading is it's administrative so that the notice can get published, giving the date of the public hearing.
Okay. Well, I would like to echo Ms. Praza's thoughts about you accepting some public comment, even on first reading, but that being what it is. Secondly, the last meeting of the end of the last year, I asked you to consider the new Central Park, or whatever it will be named, that when there is sports equipment going to be dedicated to it, that it could be removable so that we can do things like, you brought up farmers market, Scott, things like Christmas fairs or Easter egg hunts, things like that, things that we might not want to do on the Canterfield lawn. We could do it in the public square. You could have art festivals, things like that. And I would just like to remind you and just have it not just fall, fade from memory. And that's about it. And I will give you one update.
Go ahead.
Okay, I will give you one update. I was watching on Comcast, and the sound did go out. When it came back, it actually was louder. Because you might remember I mentioned that Comcast was very low, and then when it goes to the regular website, it got loud. Well, whatever happened might have fixed the problem for Comcast. I don't know. Fingers crossed.
That's good.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Come on up, sir.
Hey, everybody. My name is Mark DiGiovanni. I'm on 580 Heritage Road here in Millington. Not to beat a dead horse, but I just wanted to come up and also reiterate my concern with what Mr. Liberato was sharing earlier about this systems. One, I'm a father of 3. So as a person with young children, certainly response time, mean time respond is extremely important to me. And when I heard about the challenges with our systems, I was literally just beyond shocked. I could not understand how you, as a township, are responsible for certain services that are to be delivered that require reliability. And if one system's not working, redundancy should be put in place. But in this case, it's a clear understanding that there's been no system, and we're aware of it, and we've accepted that. And to Frank's point, I understand quantitative measures. Hey, if I told you you could save $1 million by doing X, Y, and Z, you'd all jump on it. Qualitatively, though, it's harder to identify and quantify a life. And that's what I think we're all concerned about here. Minutes do count. In a professional capacity, I work with large organizations on incidents and response, and more of a cybersecurity component, though, right? And there's 3 primary foundations that are no different than police responders or firemen, and that's 1, detection and identification of a problem, triaging that problem, so assessing what the issue is, more importantly, responding effectively so you can resolve it. And the one thing that's clear across all of those scenarios is that communication, visibility, and transparency is the #1 cause of delay and major impact. The one most important system that we have to get people somewhere quickly, as Frank stated, is a communication system. If it doesn't work for everybody, or it's, from time to time intermittent in its capability, I don't know how else to convey my disappointment that this has not been addressed sooner. So while I know you guys are going to have your meetings, what I think would be helpful is the next time that we have this is that clear timelines are identified. Not, hey, we'll get to it, we'll have a conversation. I'd like clear, meaningful timelines to when this is going to be done. Because I also have kids in the school system, right? You got an aggregation of hundreds of kids. If something bad should happen, I mean, you all know the point. So at the end of the day, I think it would be really helpful if there's more clear guidelines, stated timelines to have discussions, as you mentioned. I'd like them to have it reported back to us. And again, like we said, there's a number of ways to handle this. It doesn't have to. You don't have to spend $1 million, but it's a serious matter, and I hope you take that into consideration.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Giovanni. Thank you for coming. Go ahead,
Mayor,
Brandon.
could I just say something? And Chief, you might want to opine in this as well. I just want to I want to correct what I think is a misconception out there. We have been with the county for a number of years. We have had problems with the system. It's been reported to the county. The county has made some fixes to the system. They've been more, I characterize them as band-aids. But it was what they always told us was wait until we fix the system. We're going to completely revamp it, and everything's going to be much better. That happened towards the end of last year, and the system basically has gone downhill since they did it, and that's what precipitated the conversation here. So I just want to. This isn't something that we've been ignoring for years. We have been aware of it, and we've worked with the county as much as we could, and we've kind of been hanging on for the promise of the new system. The new system hasn't really changed anything. It's actually made it worse, and that's why we're having the conversations that we are. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that we've been on this, and we haven't been leaving it for years.
I suspect the topic, too, at the Monday meeting is going to relate to some of the fixes that they're doing over in Warren with the tower over there and the equipment that they're putting on it. So, yeah, again, that meeting is in the critical path, and the shortest path to getting this fixed, hopefully, is to getting this county system right with the large sum of money they're specifically investing for Long Hill Township, specifically for Long Hill Township. So there's nothing that we take more seriously than this.
respond to that just real quick?
You can come up real quick, Mr. Giovanni.
And I understand, and I do not want to state that there was negligence or anything that there wasn't that. So I want you to understand that that's not my point of it.
Yeah.
But I do understand this as well. When I have someone that promises deliver something to me and they have not done it, and they are not trustworthy, then it is up to me to take actionable and account of what they're doing, audit, and I want proof of what they're doing. Not having results for something of this, hey, listen, if this was a playground or whatever else, fine, let it go a year or two, I don't care. But when it's something of this nature, listen, you guys are very capable, well-spoken men. You can go in there, make your case, and put the appropriate, business case in place for them. More importantly, do these guys, are they aligned to what we want? Because that's always a challenge. They may be doing their own
know
things.
what we want. We just want
Right.
working radios. It's pretty
Yeah.
simple.
So I think to that point, I'd like to get accountability. I mean, we got to just hold them accountable to deliver that. If it's been over a year, I think that's, obviously, we hit the trust button. We need to rethink that and go in there and restate our case.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other members of the public? Come on up, sir.
Thank you, all of you, for giving me a chance to present myself before this wonderful committee.
Your name, please?
My name is Bindigana Ramaprasad. I live on 579 Heritage Road, neighbors of Frank.
Nobody's on Heritage Road tonight.
Of course, Mark as well. And Chuck is also my neighbor.
Better send the cars over there for burglary.
And I have to really thank you, Ms. Phillips, for talking to me this afternoon. You were very kind and appreciate that. My concern here today is to bring up the issue of flood wall. And as you know, 11 years ago, that issue really tore the township apart. It divided our township. And I had written you an email.
You did?
You got it.
Correct. I didn't respond because I had no information for you because it's not even in front of us right now.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't respond. I should have, but I
It's all right. I understand that. Don't worry about that. It was not my concern. I just wanted to make sure that it has received you and it will receive your attention. And I also got some information saying that the committee had already made a decision to build the firewall. And
No, we don't.
Yeah,
you would know long before that happened.
Yeah.
There'd be hearings, meetings, everything.
my only request is that let there be another debate and let us discuss it. And
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, that's all I wanted to make.
That's
Yeah.
guaranteed, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for coming down. Any other members of the public?
Charles Arenowitz, Millington. I also live on Heritage Road with my friends behind me.
Do tell.
They didn't mention me that I'm their neighbors, but I am. Two topics tonight. I fully support the presentation by the Sterling Fire Department tonight. I remember we had a study, 18, about the 31,000. We're going to work together with the departments. In that report, identified the historic equipment we had, and that was 4 years ago. And I read the report and I said, my goodness, what are we doing here? So now we're going to get the fire trucks. And I agree with that. And my only concern from the last meeting, and I recommended to you that you not spend the $457,500 on the Eberly property because nobody wants it. We don't know what we're going to do with it. And I recommended to you 2 weeks ago that you put that towards the fire truck. So if you could still renege that commitment and put it before these volunteers, it'd pay for what? Almost 3/4 of one truck? And if we don't put the lights up, and they can't get up to the tennis court, we'd pay for one truck. So that's topic one. Topic two. As some of you are aware on the Township Committee, there was an historic approval at last night's Planning Board meeting. The highest building ever in Long Hill Township was approved at the height of 59 feet. Let me have your attention, Mr. Mayor, please.
I'm the mayor this week.
I don't know what you are, but I don't like you talking when I'm speaking.
I had a question about the planning board meeting. You're cutting into your 3 minutes. But thank you for wearing Seton Hall.
Well, I want your attention, okay?
I'm listening.
If you want to have conversations, I'll sit down and come back.
Well,
I know you want to get to the Seton Hall game, but we're going to discuss this tonight.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
The highest, you really try to aggravate me, Matt, and I don't like it.
Last time you came up here, I didn't say a word. You were aggravated. So I
Yeah.
can't help what happens before
All right, calm down.
Yeah, okay, here we go. The highest building ever in Long Hill Township was approved at the height of 59 feet plus a few inches at 621 Valley Road to house a 62-unit multifamily residential building with 9 units for affordable housing. The height was permitted by ordinance number 413-18 and ordinance number 460-20. So if you served on the planning board and/or the township committee in years 2018 and 2020, you helped permit such a structure in our rural town where the restrictions were 35 feet and 2.5 stories. I understand changes were made to accommodate the Mount Laurel Doctrine and the Fair Housing Act of 1985. But in looking at the ordinances and the regulations in the Fair Housing Act, there are no height or density requirements. So those of you that served on the Planning Board or Township Committee in 2018 and 2020, you have disrupted the rural nature of this town. Thank God, at least you had the foresight that you're going to spend $1.4 million to get a ladder truck that goes beyond 70 feet and now can go up, when we get it in 20 months or whatever it is, to 109 to accommodate these 59 feet buildings that you allowed in this town and destroyed our rural community. It's quite an honor. And people will not forget what you did. It's very, very bad. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other members of the public? Madam Clerk, anybody from cyberspace?
If there's anybody on Zoom that would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. I don't see anyone, Mayor.
Seeing none. All right. Seeing no more public announcements or questions, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have a nice night, everybody.